Alright everyone, the legacy media is still whining about how mistreated it is. They're in fear of their life because evil Trump criticizes them on Twitter every day. And I'm thinking to myself, well actually other people, looking at what happened to InfoWars, other people are the ones that have a legitimate right to be worried. Not you. Your careers don't magically end because a handful of NGOs decided that you were abusive. It'll never happen because you can pay them off anyway. When Acosta complains, or anyone else from CNN, the New York Times, or whatever, these are the people that are behind the scenes responsible for all the deplatforming that we see. Why do you think it's aimed towards groups that are inevitably their competitors? It's not an organic sort of thing where the big tech firms, YouTube or whatever, got together and actually decided to screw Alex Jones or anybody else who gets kicked off these sites in large proportion. It's not just a sudden organic thing. They can claim that they didn't collude with one another. That's totally wrong. Something caused it. It wasn't, hey, YouTube decided he was toxic, so these other sites followed through in solidarity. No, somebody else, some third party behind the scenes that has their ear caused it. Which one was it, an NGO or the legacy media? It doesn't matter because they're literally in bed with one another. They work together in the most literal sense. That's the real problem. So no, I don't pity these people. When they talk about, political violence, intimidation is being aimed at our journalists and pundits. Yeah, it's a big problem. You know who else has that aimed at them? Me and people like me, specifically because people like you constantly create hit pieces on us. When BuzzFeed irresponsibly decides to label someone an extremist, a far-rightist, a Holocaust denier, a conspiracy theorist, a kook or something, when CNN does that, when MSNBC does that, when CNN comes out and threatens to dox a kid for making a GIF image, when Fox News comes out and profiles someone, like when Bill O'Reilly reamed that one kid during the Iraq War because his dad had been killed in combat and he said, hey, the war sucks. And do you think he got death threats thereafter? Because he was recognizable. It went viral everywhere. Do you think people in his community maybe looked at him differently? That he was at hazard, at least to some degree? I do. I think that the lamestream media, for a long, long time, has done this. They stoke up pitchfork-waving mobs, and then when they face the repercussions of their fear-mongering, when it comes home to roost, then they whine about it and call for calm. Just like with the label fake news. CNN invents the term, if I remember correctly, to describe maybe an InfoWars or something, to describe people that differentiate from the establishment corporate reporting. Then people take that term and say, yeah, fake news, it's a great idea, but it's CNN that's fake, it's not these other groups. They're the ones that are constantly trying to start wars and stuff. Malnew pointed this out the other day. Oh, InfoWars, Alex Jones is hateful and a horrible person. That's funny, he's not the one shilling for invading every country on earth. Totally right. Exactly. Fake news is a moniker that applies more to like CNN or Vox or something. Or Breitbart, or The Blaze, Fox News, MSNBC, New York Times, The Atlantic, the LA Times, these big corporate conglomerates, and then like The Blaze is no longer big, or Salon, they're smaller now. The missing link media, but more properly the legacy media at large. They are fake news. Now Trump has come out, and they keep trying to browbeat him and say, well, he keeps using terms like fake news and enemy of the people. He's trying to attack the First Amendment. First and foremost, him criticizing you doesn't attack your right to speak. You speak every single day. That's why he's criticizing you, because what you're saying is sometimes false. And we can demonstrate it, like CNN's Wikipedia report, WikiLeaks report there. It was false. It is objectively false. It was propaganda and it was fake news. There's no other term to use for it. You were lying straight up to millions of people during that report when you said WikiLeaks releases were illegal to read. Well, that's wrong. Any lawyer would have told you that. You knew it was wrong. You presented it that way to cover the ass of the DNC. You are corporate stooges. Shouldn't use the term fake news. Just call them what they are, corporate jackboot-licking thugs. But it's really, really funny because they attack him. They don't even realize when he's using the moniker fake news, he's not talking about the press at large insofar as even the corporate press goes. He's talking about groups that spread falsehoods, which they clearly do. They've been doing it for a million years. I'm sitting there astonished because these same liberals that are so up in arms about Trump attacking the First Amendment or whatever other bullshit the New York Times invents for him later. These same people 10 years ago were attacking the media constantly and like linking me to RT articles in Zeitgeist. Like foreign made in many cases. Like they're like, well, I prefer the Russian media or the BBC or something. It's like CNN sucks, Fox sucks, MSNBC sucks. They're all war-hawking propaganda. Well, yeah, of course they are. They've always have been. They always will be, too. There's a reason why people trust them less and less. And Trump knows this and is, I think, having largely a great time. By the way, these are the same groups that right now are going frenetic. They're going apeshit because Jack Dorsey, who is a censorship-loving dude, so, you know, no kudos to him per se, because he refuses to kick Alex Jones off the site, and he's like, hey, he hasn't broken any of our rules. What's the CNN headline today? Jack Dorsey explains why he has failed to ban InfoWars. As though it was like some great, glorious, noble thing to ban somebody regardless of what they do. Meanwhile, InfoWars in the App Store, #1 in Google. So it's really funny. Google fucks him over, and then his app skyrockets, and it's not clear exactly why they haven't just taken the app down. Probably they're afraid of they're afraid because it's going to be so obvious that it's a mass deplatforming attempt by a colluding group of big tech firms that are being pushed by the NGOs and the corporate media to do that. The New York Times and CNNs of our country don't want InfoWars online because they're tired of competing with a group they can't readily compete with. Let's say I'm CNN. Here's the thing. Let's say I'm CNN. I have $100 million a year to spend on discretionary things because I'm owned by a parent company that's worth tens of billions of dollars. Infinite money, no problem. I'm sitting there investing tens or hundreds of millions of dollars into streaming our cable material much more efficiently on a site like YouTube. Meanwhile, Alex Jones is paying $0 in streaming for free, and he's gaining a larger audience than I am. His presence is growing quicker. His staff have more support. They appear more often in search because their content is simply organically better. Wow, 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 wow. I'm so sad about this. I've got to go and get them deplatformed. Hey, Google, hey, Apple, kick them off the site because, you know, I'm getting tired of this. Look, I'm going to withdraw from the streaming service if you don't. That's what they're doing. They're parasitizing YouTube and all these sites. They partner with them, give them some money, give them some extra play time and some exclusives or whatever, and then they turn around and they use that leverage to abuse the people that actually built the platform. That's what they've been doing. It's nothing new. They've done it on Facebook now for years. Why do you think Zuckerberg came out and said, hey, I think it's a good idea. We're going to test, I think it was Bhutan and Laos or something. We're going to test a new situation by which only certain paying groups will actually be on your newsfeed. The rest will be on the normal feed. And so if you want to be on this special exclusive place, you got to follow certain extra rules and you got to pay the piper. They're going to take money from you and you've got to be like sanitized and PG rated. Oh, how wonderful. I wonder who will be on the news aggregator. Do you think it'll be InfoWars? No. Do you think it'll be CNN? Yeah. Therein lies the problem. They're just trying to gobble up the internet. They love these corporate monopolies. What I think is that these groups should either take a hands-off approach to political speech, or they should be trust-busted, or we need an Internet Bill of Rights or a public utility declared status or something. Be talking about that in a moment. But no, it's funny. It's hilarious to see people who make millions of dollars a year complain about being downtrodden and abused. Oh my God, Trump criticized me on Twitter. No, Trump criticizing you on Twitter is the only reason that half of the people that know who you are. The fact that 90% of them hate your guts because you're a propagandist is normal because you're a propagandist. Because most people, apparently, they actually have a working mind. At this point, most people have woken up to the sad reality that as far as cable and newsprint goes, there is no real news there. It's not news. It's barely a press. It's more a corporate propaganda outlet that self-enforces its own policies by its ties to DC and to Hollywood and attempts to freeze out anyone who has actual independent reporting, as we're seeing in the last 48 hours. And it's not just him. Look, a bunch of libertarian accounts have been bullseyed offline on multiple sites. YouTube's big recent purge was weed channels. It had nothing to do with like, politics per se or conspiracies. No, it was like cannabis oil channels. People saying, hey, yeah, this product can prevent seizures. Even the FDA, by the way, agrees with me now. Oh, bye-bye, you're not allowed to be on the platform because of rules we failed to enforce since about 2014. Facebook, it's very funny. Mark Zuckerberg's like, oh, people with certain political ideologies. No, we're not just going to kick them off for ideology. No, you'll wait until they say something about their ideology and kick them off. What a glorious, shining example of free speech that is. Jack says, yeah, we're not going to ban InfoWars yet. You know, I'll probably buckle and end up doing it anyway, but, you know, I want more attention for Twitter. I want the right-wingers to come back to Twitter because I'm afraid of Gab and other competitors. That's really what it's about. And then I'll cut them loose later on anyway when the storm blows over. That's probably what it's about. That's about all. Peace out.